Someone who is no stranger to a Republican primary where immigration is center stage, Rick Davis. He was John McCain's campaign manager in 2008. Rick, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So immigration has always been at the forefront of political of elections. This isn't deja vu to you, but I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on this. Donald Trump has started the conversation about revoking the citizenship of illegal immigrants that may have come here to the United States illegally, but their children were born here. Is that going to stick?
Yeah, it may not be deja vu. It may be Groundhog Day. I mean, we were having the same debate in 2007. John McCain had an immigration plan in front of Congress. And ever since then, there have been attempts by, his wing of the party to pass immigration, comprehensive reform that would actually do away with this entire debate. And yet, Congress was not able to wrestle it down to the ground. Frankly, mostly bogged down in the House of Representatives. Senate actually passed a bill. So when you fast forward to today, I think Republicans are very exposed on this issue. And frankly, Donald Trump took the lead and said, I'm going to go out there with a plan. Now, I disagree with this plan. I think that, most of the Republicans in the Republican Party would disagree with this plan. But, he actually went out there and said, I'm going to engage in a debate on immigration. And in fact, if you look at his website, it's the only thing he's engaged on.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's dragging the rest of the field with him. And I think it's going to be incumbent, regardless of the policies of the plan, for the field to engage on this and put their own plans on their websites.
I think it's sort of interesting, though, that you're not getting a lot of candidates completely throwing him and his ideas away. I mean, you heard Carly Fiorina saying, yeah, I kind of agree with some of the stuff. Scott Walker said, I have a similar plan, but he wouldn't fully endorse Trump. Why do you think they're sort of
He's boxing him in, though, right?
Why do you think they're dancing around him like that instead of saying, that's
part of it is
talk.
that Donald Trump is sort of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, right? Mr. Hyde is his website, thoughtful plan that actually is poll tested, and it pulls all the strings of the Republican GOP primary voter. And then he goes on TV, and it's like, Dr. Jekyll, shows up, and it's like anything he wants to say, he just says, regardless of whether it matches his own plan or not. And that's where he really becomes, hyperventilating. And so Republicans have a hard time dealing with that because, frankly, the media isn't catching him on it. They're not saying, hey, wait a minute, Donald, you say this today and you have a plan on TV or on your website. What gives? Which one is it? And so if he's allowed to get away with that, it sort of cows the rest of the field. Frankly, they need to man up or, get up and start engaging this guy. Otherwise, he's going to be way ahead by the time they turn the corner.
Rick, the Republican Party has said specifically that their plan is to make the party more diverse, more open to other folks. Will this sort of talk by Donald Trump, which is now trickling down to the other candidates, will that impact Hispanic voters in this election?
For sure. Look, I mean, George Bush, when he ran for re-election in 2004, got over 40% of the Hispanic vote. John McCain, even though he was the author of the Comprehensive Immigration Reform Bill, was attacked vociferously by talk radio show hosts and conservative commentators about the plan, and that had a negative impact on Hispanic turnout, where we lost 10% of that Hispanic vote, even though he was for comprehensive reform. And then Mitt Romney lost about 8% more when he ran on self-deportation, a plan not too dissimilar to Donald Trump's. And so if we continue to have this kind of nativist policy in the public domain, you can plan on losing all that Hispanic vote sooner or later.
Another discussion that's sort of bubbling up within the GOP about Donald Trump is whether or not he can be trusted, whether or not he is a true conservative. And that was one of the discussions that they had on Fox News last night. Let's take a listen, and then we'll get your reaction.
I think there is a reason for his success. And I think the reason is Republicans are weak and they are timid in Washington especially. The Republican governors have done a lot better. I think they're weak and timid. They have broken so many promises. Americans are fed up. The problems we face are severe. 93 million Americans out of the labor force, 50 million in poverty. We have literally on the world stage, we have exited. And as a result, the world is a less safe place. And I think what he's saying shows strength and conviction. And I don't really care what he said in the past. Where do you stand today?
No, I do. Remember, you were a guy who taught me about what Barack Obama said in the past and got me to care about what he said in the past. What somebody says in the past makes a difference. We are so tired with the system. We're so tired with the game playing on both sides. The Democrats are saying, you know what? Socialism. You guys aren't really giving us the real socialism. You're playing this game. Let's go for it. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And the same thing over here. I have a problem with Mr. Trump's character, and because of the things that he has changed. I just don't trust that that's what he really means.
So what do you make of that conversation?
You know, I think that Donald Trump isn't an ideological character. He's just a character, right? And so I don't think it's a matter of whether he's a conservative, moderate, or independent. He's none of those things. He espouses winning philosophy, right? That's his ideology. And I think there is an element to people wanting a winner, right? And, you know, it's been a while since Republicans had a winner, and since a while since the country had a winner. And so when he goes out there and says, you know, I want to win, it does strike a chord. But if you do care about his track record, if you do care about who he is, and if you want to be informed of what he's going to do in the future, you do have to look at the past. And his past is pretty checkered. And so I think that the more introspection, the more light that's shined on Donald Trump, the more unlikely people are going to find someone they really want to invest in.
Rick, before we let you go, when does the opposition start? When do we see the oppo on Donald Trump? Because so far we haven't seen it, right?
Yeah, I'm shocked by it. Frankly, it's not a campaign I would have run.
Right.
I'd hit the guy right away.
Yeah.
Look, politics is a blood sport. I mean, this is not supposed to be like we're all pals on the stage. I mean, there are 17 people running for election, and virtually nobody's picking on the other guy. I don't get it. I mean, you know, politics hasn't changed that much. So I think that the long knives will come out. I think that, you know, maybe it's just that it's August and people think that the cycle's not started yet. Gentlemen, start your engines. This race is on.
All right, Rick Davis, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Rick.